All right, I'm gonna share with you a little miser just to warm up before we go with this from series of the. But Stam, I was thinking this is I thought it was a shirt. Now it turns out it's for bringing. Everybody's eating it. Okay.
Last time he came to my house for Brenga, Ramirfeld thought it was a shear, and you changed it also on the fly. So it's okay. I just want to announce that Dr. Yossi Rubner is a sponsor for tonight. Nishmas' mother, Etl Perl Bas Rebelio.
Etl Perl Bas Rebelio.
You think when is your Yartzeit? Yartzeit was today.
Excuse me, you're also
you give it Shabbos. It's Shabbos.
Shabbos. And sponsored by the Balter.
The Balter family also. Yartzeit's on Monday and Tuesday. We're in Mishulish again. Yeah, back to back. Okay, go ahead. So
there's a word that goes to the Chassidim of the Market of Mazish, but a Chassidische Verein Uftan Kamal Kol Uftan. That's the word.
Was a Chassidische?
Verbringen can Uftan, can Malach Machal nicht Uftan. Was meint das? Jeden kommen zusammen und wir sind in dem zweiten. This is like this. There's something to it. If people sitting together, there's a power in it. But I experienced this in a very, very real way a few years ago. So I'm going to share it. So I guess there's an Indian of you have to express your gratitude to the Eibishter on a regular basis. So this is a couple of years back. I was Chedesh of after Tisha B'Av, after Mishas B'Av, my daughter got married in New York, and it was Shabbos brachas. 2 days later. Chafav is the Yartzeit Hilula of the Rebbe's father. So I wanted to verbringen. I thought the Shabbos brachas would turn to verbringen. The Chutn is a Chashuv Ashpir, the Pshan Bezarchi, but it didn't go anywhere. It was the Shabbos brachas, now was it. Good. So I said to my boys, "Come, let's go to 770." Wasn't for my speech. Not
before the tunnels, after the tunnels.
It's all the same to me. It hasn't been my speech for a long time. 770. Anyway, I was there. It's like
tunnel vision.
It's not for me. I said, "Let me find some oil. Hopefully, there's something going on there." I can't have this craziness. Okay, so we get into a car, and when my son's driving, we go to the oil. Good. Come out to the oil. There's a little verbringen, a few chevra verbringen. Okay, fine. And I'm just like, it's just starting, and all of a sudden, I see a whole group come in, a whole group of chevra, and I noticed, because I learned in Los Angeles many years ago, I noticed that these guys, like, there's a Los Angeles connection over there. These are like Los Angeles mishpachas. So it turns out that one of them had a 50th birthday or something, and so they all decided to come in. They came in together, they flew in together to go to the oil, and they were going to make a verbringen. Say it, okay. So now there's a big oilam, and the oilam is excited, and everybody's, they were just after the tzeh, they just finished davening, they come out, they want to verbring. And there's a younger man there, his name is Fishman. So I haven't seen these guys in, I don't know, 20, 25 years. So I said to him, "What's the tate?" I said, "It's your father." Looks to me like I'm crazy. So what do you want, father? Father died. Father died, he tells me. I say, "Father died? What are you talking about? He was a marathon runner. He was a fitness aficionado. He was like a rail. He was a very disciplined person. He learned, he davened, he ran marathons. He did. The guy was in perfect shape, but what do you mean when he died? I mean, how old could he be? I don't think he was 65, a young man. He says to me he was in great shape, but he never got a colonoscopy. And Nebuch, something in the colon, and didn't last very long. So I'm like, colonoscopy. yeah, my doctor's been bothering me to get one. Like, he says, you didn't get a colonoscopy? Crazy colonoscopy, sugar, stick something up here. It's not for me, son. He says, du bist an idiot. You have to get a colonoscopy. Okay, fine, I got a colonoscopy. In the meantime, some of the other guy was telling me, you need to get a colonoscopy. I'm like, excuse me, this is about my colonoscopy now. What's going on over here? Could we just like have a freilechen? So there's a younger man over there. He starts to scream, no, we're not freilechen until you promise me getting colonoscopy. So I look at this guy and I say, ich verstehe nicht. Your boy who grew up in. What do you shave your beard for? So what do you shave your beard for? What do you shave your beard for? What's this boy doesn't what do you cut your beard off for? He said, I don't shave it. I said, yeah, you shave it. No, it's electric shave. I said, for a boy for shave his beard, it's anyway, and I'm going at him. And I'm yelling about his beard, and I'm giving him a colonoscopy with his beard, and he's giving me a colonoscopy with a colonoscopy. So he says to me, okay, he says, so tell you what, if I let my beard grow, you're gonna get a colonoscopy. So this is a deal I can't turn down. So if you're not gonna touch your beard anymore. I said, you're gonna let your beard. He says, I can't believe I'm doing this. He says, I can't believe you swear to me. I said, I promise you, yes, I'm gonna get a colonoscopy. Anyway, P.S. He starts growing his beard. And I went to get the appointment. This is Canada. That's so simple. You can't just get colonoscopy. Like, who you know it's not what you know, it's who you know. But anyway, I get into the guy in Mount Sinai. And he tells me, listen here, this is he says, you got something in there. And it doesn't look good, but I can't get to it. It's like at a very, very winkled or something. This is the head of gastro, Silverberg, head of gastro at Mount Sinai. Like tells me, I've got to send you to St. Mike's. I'm sending to my friend in St. Mike's. It's Moscow, I think. It's not right. So he's like he's the number one guy. This is a very, very okay, fine. So he sends me off and make an appointment, and kids at the guy got in there, he got it out, and he said, had we not made a colonoscopy like now, was durchgegangen in the Yartzeit, it would be too late. So I asked myself, how could Malach Machal get me to get a colonoscopy? How would Malach Machal come and flap his wings? How's Malach Machal? I said, I get a colonoscopy. Touch von dem verbringen Lebenkind. Ich lebe push von
How many years ago was this?
3 years ago.
How many years ago?
3 years ago.
Oh my God.
Ich bin daheim von der Verbringen. Wenn nicht der Verbringen kocht, bin ich nicht daheim.
You're gonna have a.
I'm not imagining. I'm not the.
Wow.
And I met this guy now. Last week I was in Miami for my niece's wedding. I was there, and I meet this guy, and he has a beard. Can I know how to like? And he looks at me. He says, "Oh, what you did to me with this beard doesn't stop growing." He says to me, "I want to tell you something." He says, for years and years I was trying to buy a house, and every time I made an offer, it fell through. He says, after I started growing my beard, 2 weeks later, my offer went through. He says, I had Surus Parnasa, everything started to work, and it went the other way. He said, ever since my beard grew, he says, everything is fantastic. He says, I have my own company now. I have 25 guys working for me now. He said, everything turned around. And then he said to me, interesting part. He's a push thing about. He said to me, I want to tell you something. I really believe, he said to me, that the reason that I have these brachas is not because of beard. It's because I went out of my way to help another youth. I went out of my way, he said, because I wanted to help you, and I did something to help you, and because of this, that's what they actually gave me these brachas. Anyway, this is it's an unfolding story, Baruch Hashem. I just met this guy again, like after many years. So I just saw him in at the wedding. So no, it's Chassidish Verbringen. It's nicht pashut. It's not everybody will hear from it what he wants to hear from it and take what they want to take from it. But I mean,
Once you go in there,
you should get it.
you have a choice.
Go and ask him to be a beard.
Chaim wouldn't give us people their beards. No one went to a
MS.
Chaim was
Very makbid. Chaim is very makbid. Very makbid.
You used to fake him out. You used to go spirit time or whatever. Whether they faked him out or not, I'm not
I
saying.
don't think you faked
That
it.
was their, one second. That was their strategy. Whether or not it worked, whether he saw through it.
So he saw, obviously saw that he saw a guy. Is there? So whatever.
People got went to whatever. It's like okay, watch out. Yeah. That's easy.
And not walk in with a shirt with a freilechen on it.
Did through time.
Oh, somebody walked in with a hemd mit freilechen.
And you wanted the face in front, not
Yeah,
behind.
back. Like, it's good. Sounds good.
Okay, so I don't mean an akudah. It's a chashuv and akudah, important akudah. Megillah says al kain karu the yemei hapurim elo purim. That's what we call it purim. Hashem hapur. Called purim Hashem hapur. That's I think what's chavav, chafei or chavav. What's chav dalet? It says what's hapur? Hapur is uhagerol. Pur uhagerol. So I mean, it's like a serious pasuk in the Megillah. Al kain karu yom elo pur. Al kain karu yom elo. Chayda. Al kain karu yom elo. There's a lot of names you could call a Yeshua Vatzala, but Shem Hapur. Good. Haman tried to kill him with a pur, but I mean, is in them besteht Purim. Purim besteht in them pur. It's a modern thing to say. So the Maharal says that he explains how it was a big ness, that the way Haman made the pur, very complicated Maharal. He goes through a cheshbon that he made three purim in a row, and each pur was the way it worked at Punk. This way they got a whole year. They would have had a few months. They might not have had a time for it to get the message out. This way it was a whole year. It was the next Purim, and then he found that right away. And Haman was hung on Mele. Lulay said that the pur were to come out the way it came out. Take wouldn't have been okay. I mean, like it's not ikar nes. It's very, very doubtful that if you would tell a person a story of Purim without telling him the name of Purim, and you would give him the whole Megillah, the ganze Megillah, they will come to you and say, so what do you think we should name this? Shvetzig Leben that he would come up with the name Purim. It's a Chaga Esther, Chaga Mordechai, ich weiß nicht, but like they can't name Purim. It's and the Megillah says Al Kain Karu, Al Shem HaPur. So okay, that's verstehen. It's like a. Another thing which has to be understood, Indian, is the fact that Purim is the Chagero. Hapur hu Agero. So if the Pur is the Gero, so why would you call it Gerolis? You call it a Shem Laz. We know that Yidden went into Mitzrayim, and one of the few schusim they had was L'shinu Shmam and L'shinu L'shenam. Do Isaiah Nom and Isaiah Loshen. What Mishana given? Why would the Mishana? Purim. Nobody already speaks ancient Akkadian or Persian, but we still call it Purim. It's the Yiddish name. It's the only name, the only Yom Tov doesn't have a Yiddish name. It's a strange thing. That it says Al Kain Karu Yom Purim, Al Shem HaPur, and two psukim earlier it says, but the Pur is Hu Agedol. Zak Mechklar is a Pur is Hu Agedol. So the Alter Rebbe. I mean, the Mefarshim talk about it. They struggle with it. It's not Pashut. They struggle with it. The Maharal struggles with why it's called Hashem HaPur, why the Pur struggles with it. It's not straightforward. It was one of the great Spanish Rishonim was not so well known as Yosef Chiyun. Yosef Chiyun, they say, was the Rebbe of the Barbanel. So Yosef Chiyun says that yes, we have the pasuk in Nehemiah. Is it hey? That says Chatzim became Dabrim Ashdudis because Shen Am Va'am, and the way Rashi and Metzudas David explains over there that Imoim was any Yehudi, so Mela spoke L'Shen Imam. It's the origin of Mama Lashon. Basically, the Mama Giret Ashdudis. I don't know what Ashdudis is, but whatever. It's definitely not Ashdod, but some Lashon Ashdudis. The mother spoke Ashdudis. So basically, wants to say that they didn't speak Hebrew. It's very schwer. I mean, he was a magician. But it's very schwer to say. So the whole Megillah was in Lashon HaKodesh, not in Aramaic, and the Yidden had to read the whole Megillah. And that's time read all Megillah, but I have to later estimate a second bakasha that it should be an ephon of Tanakh. It should be an ephon of the Ksum. And you have to read. You have to every word. So the Pasha listened. They heard every word. They understand one word they were saying. Of the Purim, they knew that has to be called Purim. I mean, if you figure out the Megillah, figure out how long does it take to teach somebody to say the word Gerolos? Some the tenets that you can't say because Mela the Rambam says in Hilchos Tefillah that the reason that the Anshe Knesset Agdela were Masakin Tefillah is because people they were ilgim, they couldn't express themselves. Okay, that's verstehe. Like you take a guy who's sitting in India and you give him a list of phones to call for duck cleaning. He doesn't speak the language. You could teach him to say a word or two, but so what do? They type them up phonetic Indian, Swahili, whatever. Just type them up over there, and they say they know which words to use. People bang the phone down after they say hello, so say hi. So not hello. They have there's a whole science of how you keep somebody on the phone for a little longer, and 1 out of 200 phone calls they actually make a sale. But if you read, it's like one of these actors, a bunch of behemoths. For the most part, the dumbest people on the face of earth. It shows it for the brains, right? But the chazra in the lines, the chazra in the lines, if you pay somebody a few $1 million, chazra in anything, some negate, the chazra, and they say it with empathy, and they say it with, and they're mamish into it, right? So if they could do it for a few $1 million, why can't we daven like a mensch, like Allah's kama? We have the script, we have it, and that's chayling in it. You have to invest yourself. The davening should be a davening. Okay, so that makes sense that chatzi mekem daberash do this. This way you can't have davening. This way a person going to daven by himself. He couldn't call it Purim. He couldn't call it Gerolos. Like seriously, what does it? What does it even mean? Like it doesn't. It's very mud. So the Alter Rebbe in Torah really he stakes out like takes a new pathway over here. I didn't find this mamash anyway. I looked around. I couldn't find any mucker for this. In Tikkun is there. There's in Tikkun Chaf Aleph. It goes through a bunch of things. What's Malchus? It talks about many mishalim, many concept of the sphere of Malchus. What is Malchus? And it talks about Rosh Hashanah. So Rosh Hashanah is Malchus. It explains what Rosh Hashanah is Malchus. And it comes to Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is Malchus. Then it says Esther. Esther is Malchus. And the pasuk by Esther says Vatilbish Esther Malchus. This is Rayas in the Tikkun Ezer. Then the Tikkun Ezer says, and that's why it's called Purim. Al Shem Kippurim. As Purim is Al Shem Kippurim. So Bald as Kippurim. Bald as Kippurim, which what is the inyan of Yom Kippurim? The Tikkun Ezer says the inyan of Yom Kippurim is the inyan of the Soil Azazel and the soil which goes to Hashem, which this is the inyan of Gedolos. At the highest level on Yom Kippurim, the inyan of Gedolos. That's the dam that goes to Lifnim. So the Baal, the Tikkun Ezer says that it's called Yom Kippurim. And the Baal that Purim is Hashem Gedolos. So Mela, there's a link between Kippurim and Purim. From this, you could maybe try to understand because that's why they wanted to call it Purim, because it's Hashem Kippurim. But of course, Kippurim and Purim don't mean the same thing at all. But the main thing is because of the Gedolos. So if it's a Gedolos. If the main thing is that there's a Gedol, it's some Gedol. So call it Gedolos. You're calling it Purim, Hashem Kippurim. It doesn't mean the same thing. Kippurim is Kapara. Purim is a Purim, is a Gedol. So call it Gedolos. The Chaga Gedolos. And then you have the in of Kippurim, and you have. So the Alter Rebbe says a peladiga thing. It's a peladiga thing, which it's a word which is very much known today. I hear many people speak about it. I don't believe there's an earlier source than the Torah. I didn't find the earlier source, and if there is, it's a source Baal Peh. Maybe the Baal Shem to the Maggid said something, but it's not written in any of those Sfarim. It's not found in the Sfarim we have from the Baal Shem or from the Maggid. And the Alter Rebbe is Meirech with this tremendous arichas. The Alter Rebbe says 3 places in Torah that Yom HaPurim is not Checher v'Yom HaKippurim. So much so that Kippurim is Kiloshen. Kemoi, Chaf Adimyan, that Kippurim is Kippurim Azevi Purim.
That's what the Tikkun means.
It's definitely not what the Tikkun means. Zicher vados, zicher nicht. Ask me how I'm so sure.
Because Alter brings the
doesn't bring. He mentions Tikkun Ezer in one of the places. In the back it says Tikkun Ezer, but if you look in the Tikkun Ezer, you see that it's totally different nakuda.
Don't touch the
It's not a tiny tikkun hazeh. It's a different nakuda. And in Alkein Karol Yom Purim Tafshin Yud Gimel, if you look in the Mugadik Maimer, which came out in Tafshin and Aleph, you look in Hara 9. The Rebbe is Meidach over there, a long arichas. The Rebbe asks clear. The Rebbe says clearly that it's a totally different vart, and the Rebbe works to be betayim the vart of tikkun hazeh. And the Rebbe says adayin tzarich iyan or adayin tzarich iyan gadol. It's not. It's pushing out the same thing. It's not. It's not. There was a fabrengen by the Rebbe Rashab, the second to the last Purim, and the famous mashpir Shmuel Esther Greineman was the Greinem Shmuel Greinem Esterman. He said to the Rebbe Rashab, the Alter Rebbe says that it's a chech Yom Kippurim. So the Rebbe Rashab said avada. It's his azay. And it's like, and the Maitik is writing down. So he writes himself. I don't understand the words that went on by the Purim, so that I don't understand what happened there. I don't. In any maven akavon. Was meint das? What? It's like you have to try to understand this kind of concept. Or what does it say? It's like a game. But what the Purim is as hechav Yom Kippurim achas b'shana. That's ridiculous. Like we're talking about serious people here. And the Alter Rebbe is geworfen mit Wörter. He didn't throw words around. So that must verstehen. What is going on over? What does it mean? No, erstens l'chaim. So I'm going to try to simplify something which be'emes is very, very complicated. It's not complicated, and there's several pages, long pages in there. Tremendous arichas. I'm simplifying. I'm telling you that I believe what I'm telling you is true, but it's a very simplified reality. It's just if I have like a bunch of clay over here and I throw it at the wall, do you know how it's going to splatter? You know how it's going to splatter? If I throw it at the wall, can anybody predict how it's going to splatter?
It wouldn't splatter.
That's going to stick to the wall. Is what you asked me.
It's going to splatter. Let's say we have a substance. We know that I'm throwing it. It's going to splatter. It's paint. It's going to splatter. Can you predict how it's going to splatter? So Newtonian physics says yes, because Newton said everything's predictable. Everything can be everything. You just have to know all the variables. And all the variables you can predict it. Everything's predictable. I mean, what he's saying makes sense. By the way, it's not an unreasonable thing. Newtonian physics.
But it's impossible to account for every variable.
So that's a technicality. That's a technicality. But that doesn't mean the science is wrong. The science in theory is right. In theory, Newtonian physics is accurate. Funny, the concept of predeterminism should be accurate, which, by the way, is a big problem with the whole concept of bechira. It's not so simple. The whole idea of bechira, it has a little bit of a collision with this whole predeterminism and the whole Newtonian physics. So there was a guy named Heisenberg, and Heisenberg introduced what they call today the principle of uncertainty. And the principle of uncertainty is based on a simple nakuda, pun intended, and that is called, in the language of physics, it's called the nuclei. That when something is in movement, when there's a state of velocity, that the nuclei is in constant movement, and when the nuclei is in constant movement, it's impossible to predict how something will splatter, so to speak, or what will be the effect, the nuclear physics on a quantum level, how that will work, because everything revolves around the nuclei. So it's always revolving around the nuclei, and it can't exist without nuclei. So the keli is around the nuclei and atom is and keli basically, or like chachma and bina. Every chachma, every idea has to have a way you're going to convey the idea. So if I'm talking about optimism and pessimism, I can talk about a cup that's half full and half empty. So a personal thing, I'm talking about cups. Another thing, I'm talking about tea. And another person will understand. I'm talking about perspective and attitude. But you have to have some kind of terminology, or at least some kind of metaphor, something to describe whatever idea. The idea itself is amorphous. The idea itself doesn't have definition. The idea needs definition. That's the pshat that Chochmah and Bina are trained in the liluy misparshin. That's what the Zohar says. Chochmah and Bina is trained in the liluy misparshin. I mean, trained in the liluy misparshin. It's not possible to have Chochmah without Bina because Bina is the structure. Lashon Bina. Bina is the structure. Chochmah is the nekuda. And this is also known in the language of the Zohar as nekuda be'echala. Nekuda be'echala is a description of nuclear physics. So nekuda be'echala is the nuclei within its atom. So I was once sitting next to the famous Rabbi Dr. Avram Tversky, Zatzal, and so we're having this very interesting conversation. I said to him, I want to tell you a story about your Elta Zayda that you never heard. He said, how do you know I never heard the story? I said, because it happened with my Elta Zayda. It happened with my Elta Zayda. And I don't know. I don't believe that he ever. It's not nafutz. He said, "What's the story?" So I said, "My Elta Zayda was the Tzeh Mashiach. It's known as the Tzeh Mashiach in America. In the war, before the war, he was the Matasdorf Sheikh. He was the Sheikh the Matasdorf. And when the Nazis came, so the Rav and the Sheikh and the partners was the first. I have a picture of my Elta Zayda sweeping the street with the SS man pointing a machine gun at him. Then they beat him up very badly, and it was bleeding all over. Anyway, the Yidden said, Ache Avazam was 1939, send away the Matasdorf Rav, send away the Matasdorf Sheikhet, send away the Matasdorf partners, and in a few years you come back. Nabach, there's nothing to come back to. But that, by the way, is how the Matasdorf Rav survived. That's how he escaped. Matasdorf Rav had the same visa as my Elta Zayda, Elta Baba, and my grandmother, and her oldest sister. Elta Baba had 11 siblings. Nobody came out. So the my Elta Zayda, I'll tell you a Purim story. I know we'll come back. Don't worry. I told you the story. My Elta Zayda became very good friends with the Beilish, with the Satmarov. He was really close friends. He did nefesh with the Tzelem, but also very good friends. He lived in Williamsburg. And my great uncle, you know Kakun, Rebbe Kakun? She's my second cousin. Her Zayda is my great uncle. When my Baba passed away in a fire, Rebbe Hecht, so I was taking Rebbe Kakun's Zayda, I was taking him back to Borough Park Friday afternoon for going home for Shabbos from the Shiva, my parents' house. So I said to my uncle, great uncle Mechel, I said, Uncle Mechel, tell me if some Meisa from Elta Zayda. He said, it's me. Die gedankste Zaidi, you don't remember Zaidi? I said, of course I remember Zaidi. What are you talking about? How could you remember Zaidi? You're too young. I'm not too young. I remember Zaidi. What's your last memory from Zaidi? Do you want to know? He says, yeah. I said, Purim. He was nifter in Lamed Zayin. Purim Lamed Zayin. We came to Williamsburg. I remember coming to his house. I remember him sitting by the table each time. I said, oh, the kinders, I don't know. I still remember it. I was 6 years old, but I remember it very clearly. So he said, oh, sorry. Yitaka remembers Zaidi. Oh, you remember Zaidi? Okay. So he tells me, I'll put him the Gemaisa. So Beilish used to finish hearing the Megillah. And then he would right away, after davening, give Mishlech Manas, Matanas of Yenim. Right away, Magen Avram says from the Shalah, he's supposed to have a mind. He would have a mind, the bracha, and right away, do it right away with whether hefsek. That was his thing, right away. Then he would go straight home, and he would eat up, he would wash, which I think was very unusual for him. I don't think he washed in the mornings, and he would drink a lot of wine. And he kept drinking wine until he fell asleep. He ate something, and he drank till he became ad liyada. And then in the afternoon, he would sleep again in his chair for a few hours. In the afternoon, he would come to the Beis Medrash, and the Beis Medrash after Mincha, then was a big tish, whatever. So my great uncle Mechel tells me that he heard from Yossel Ashkenazi that one year the Beilish said to the Yossel, "Zug me, wer ist mein guter Freund? Wer ist mein guter Freund?" So he said, "This is Hasidim. This is nicht kein Freund." So tell him a different one. That's a Talmud. It's Talmidim. Everybody was a Talmud or a Chussid. Until he said Melta Zayda's name, Baruch Greenhut.
What's the name?
Baruch Greenhut. Ich gesagt, ja, Burach Grinot, ist mein guter Freund. Und der ist schlafen geworden. That was it. Ein bisschen fast. So Burach Grinot, bei Hislevaya,
Little there.
Like good, yeah. That's why he's mixed up guy.
I'm not mixed up at all.
That's why he has followers like me who are mixed up. That's what we see.
So bei my elder Zayder is Levaya, by the Burach Grinot Levaya, Reb Shlomo the Bab Rebbe came. Bechvei di Vatzmi. Was a Bab Chassid.
David, you hear this? Is your father here?
Oh, nice.
They went home.
Well, Chassid, he was my son.
My elder Zayder lived in Williamsburg. He had no shaykhs with Baba, or so it seemed. Like it was a surprise. The family was surprised. Nobody knew I was there. So my father told me, just like curious, he went up to the Baba Rebbe, and he asked the Baba Rebbe, Shmocha is very touched, but what's the Baba Rebbe? He came like, he came over to the Beis HaChaim. So he said that my first, maybe you'll, there's a language, it's not in Chabad, it's not the language, not a pidgin. It's a different language, not a pidgin, that's the first, not a kvittel, no, it's a different thing. Like, it was like to give money to a Rebbe. This is the money.
What do you call it?
Where's the love you guys?
First, my mother's, I don't think it was my mother's, it's a different name. He said the Erste, whatever it was, the Erste, was, when I came to America, the first thing I got was some burger nuts. Bye. The story was like this. That's why I told Rabbi Tversky. This is the story. My elder Zayde, the Baruch, he was from a Zivuk Sheni. His father was their Polish, Galician. He moved to Hungary, whatever, he moved to Matazur, but he worked for the Mishpach, was a Galician Mishpach. And this, so my elder Zayde, his name was Eliyahu Grinot. And he Nebuch, his wife passed away, so he married a second time. And his new wife, was Mapel 3 times in a row. He was a Galicianer. So he went to the Shlomo Babaver the first. Weißt du, was a shtickle Tzanza, Baba? He said to Shlomo Babaver, says, this is the story. I bet Mapel given 3 Mal. What to do? So the Babaver Rebbe said, als sie schwängere noch einmal, dass sie kommen bei mir nicht durch. She became pregnant again. And she moved into the Baba Rebbe's house. She lived in the Baba Rebbe's house her whole pregnancy. And the child that was born was the only child that she had. That was her Ben Yochid. That's my Elta Zayda. So my Elta Zayda felt a sense of duty to Beis Babav. A sense of duty. So when he came here, when the Baba Rebbe came here, it wasn't Pashat. He didn't know after the Muhammad. It was not, like he didn't know where to go. And somebody brought him his father's stick. He didn't. It wasn't clear. It wasn't clear to be a Rebbe. It wasn't clear. His older brother, the Pashtus, was thought of like Atchila. His older brother was a Chaim Yeshua, was how much a Kaddish Elyon. It was like he was a Ishamayla. Wasn't Pashat.
He survived?
No. You want to know what happened to Chaim Yeshua? I'll tell you what happened to Chaim Yeshua. My father's,
by the way, Rubner. Yes.
my father's father ran away from the Nazis. He ended up running away to Kazakhstan. Why? Because my Elta Zayda, my father's father, was a Lasserov in Kiev. He was arrested in Tzaddik, beaten and tortured. And then they sent him away to a remote place called Nikurgan. So eventually, my grandfather and his mother and the sister decided to stay here in Kiev by ourselves. No, we're not still to have anyway. At least we'll be with the Tata. So they went to Nikurgan. Had they not gone to Nikurgan, they would have been in Bab Yar 3 months later. And nobody came out of Bab Yar. 33,774 Jews killed in 2 days for Erev Yom Kippur. Erev Yom Kippur and Yom Kippur.
Rabbi
That was before they perfected the art of trains. Ukrainian Jews, the Lithuanian Jews.
Who's there? Who's there in Rabbi
So let me finish the story. So my Zayde is in Nikurgan, and there's, I could tell you, mice that I heard from him from that, how they survived crazy stories.
In Siberia, where is that?
It's like eastern Kazakhstan. It's almost at the Chinese border. Very remote, very remote. It's like nothing grows in these places. You can't even. The people there they eat reindeer because there's no vegetables, but they suffocate the reindeer because that way they don't have to waste the blood. They drink the blood. It's like the Coca-Cola. It's a crazy smayod they're called. It's barely human. Mamish. I think I love it's sugar. So at some point, the communists were busy with the war and everything. At some point, they finally allowed my Yartzeit to leave Nikurgan to go to Kizil Orda. Kizil Orda had a little show, and already it was Platim coming there already. It's 1943. It was already Platim coming. So my Zayda told me that one day he sees in the little show over there, whatever, steht da Yid, there's a Polish Yid, steht in Davant. He steht in Davant, he's Haltzchazeh, Zayda told me Haltzchazeh. He becomes red in his face, he becomes white, red, white. His face is turning colors. Haltzchazeh clenching his hands. Steht in Davant, And I say this watching this. He said, this is not an ordinary guy. So he went after davening, went over to him and said, Shalom Aleichem. His name is Chaim Yeshua. This is the Baba Rebbe's eldest son.
What?
This is the Baba Rebbe's eldest son, Chaim
He
Yeshua.
made it to Russia.
That's what happened. I say they had a chavrusa. I say they learned from chavrusa every day. For 3 hours, learn chavrusa. My father was a tremendous Chacham. He had one Gemara. He had a Gemara Ksubas. He smuggled in his underpants. A Gemara Ksubas, a little Gemara Ksubas. And he knew Ksubas Bapa because that's all he had for 5 years. All he learned was Ksubas again and again and again. And he knew it was Osbas. Like, so all they had was it was only Gemara and Ksubas. They learned Taylor Chaim B'Sheh, they learned Ksubas. And more Platim came. At a certain point, Chaim Yeshua had a visit from the communists. They said they wanted him to become a Russian citizen. He should give away his Polish. He should give away Polish citizen. He should officially become a Soviet citizen. So my Zayda said, "What do you?" So he said, "Ich will nicht tun. Ich will nicht tun." My Zayda said to me, "You know why they want you to?" I said, "Yeah, they know the Baba Rebbe's son. So if I give away my passport, everybody give away their passport, then everybody's stuck a little vod. They don't have a passport, you never leave. So I become the Gedama bin Azak, and he says, if I give in, all the Yidden lose hope." So my Zayda said to him, "But these guys are not, they don't play games. What are you going to do?" The Chaim Yeshua said, if I have to be Meiser Nefesh, I am not going to become the Gedama bin Azak to cause Yidden to be stuck in the communism. And that was the last time my grandfather saw him. AGUDAH-abc, nobody knows where he is. There was an article in I magazine a few years ago. They don't know our part of the story. But they talked about they're looking for his cave. Nobody knows what Chaim Yeshua's cave is. He actually had two children survive the war. I believe in Bar Park. There's a base medrash, Chaim Yeshua's children. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think Chaim Yeshua's children survived. 2 children. Anyway, we're all over the place. Let's go back to where we were. So I'm sitting next to Rabbi Tversky, and he says to me, so I told him the story. I told him the story of the Shalom Bavler, his Alta Zayda. He says to me, "Can you understand this?" He said, "Can you understand this?" I said, could I understand Rabbi Tversky? Maybe you understand it. Who can understand this? He says, he tells me a name of one of the smaller pillars, I don't remember his name. He says, once a guy came over to him, to his brother, and said to his brother that my wife is mapel, and I want you to give me a bracha to have a child. So The guy said, I can't help you. What do you want? I should give you a bracha. I can't just help him. So he said to him, listen, du kannst mir nicht helfen, say that. Oh, but du kannst mir ja helfen, und helft mir nicht. Wenn ich nicht meichel, nicht auf der Welt, dann ist auf jener Welt. So, Rabbi Tversky tell a story. This is, yoi, nicht auf der Welt, nicht auf jener Welt, nicht auf der Welt, yoi, nicht auf der Welt. He says, bring your head the vibe. Bring your head the vibe. Came with his wife.
You couldn't help me, you didn't?
I don't forgive you, not in this world, not in the other world.
Help me, you
Rabbi
didn't.
Tversky said to the guy, bring your wife. Brings his wife. He picks up a sleeve and he says, Shmekon. I guess, they didn't use deodorant. And he said a Mishnah, Lehipila Isha Nebsar Reach HaKodesh. It says, you're laughing. It says that a woman didn't miscarry from the pungent smell of the karbonos. So, this is a brother of a Rebbe. So, Rabbi Tversky tells me, a Nishkin Rebbe, a bruder from a Rebbe. He says she didn't miscarry. He says, do you understand this? Rabbi Tversky? I guess he did help. He says,
Afraid of miscarrying from the.
He says, you understand this? You understand? It's not for us, he says. So Twitch tells me it's not for us. It's a different kind of people. I don't understand this. Then he tells you, but let me tell you, I'll show you something you could understand. So, okay. Tells me, close your eyes. Okay, close my eyes. He takes my hand, my eyes are closed, and he puts it onto something in his hand. And he says, what is it? I said, it's a key. It's a key. Open your eyes. I open my eyes. What do you think I saw? It's a key. He says, how did you know? How did you know it was a key? How did I know it was a key? I felt it was a key. Why didn't you first feel that it was metal and then feel that it's a key? You don't process that way. It's metal. It's metal that is a key. In other words, it's the goylem with the tzura, like in Hilas Kalim. If it loses the tzura, then it's no longer able to hold on to the tumah. The tumah is only there if it keeps the shape. So he says that's the pshat that chachma and bina misparshin, because bina is the details. Chachma is the thing itself. So you can never be separated from the two.
You see what?
You can never be separated from the two. So going back to the nuclei is in motion. Because the nuclei is in motion, so that's why when you throw it on the wall, that's why you can't predict the way it's going to splatter. Right? So you could have now, I see you have a child over here. Tell the kid, if I take this and throw it on the wall, can you predict how it's going to splatter? Kid says no. Emes. Then you'll take a physicist, a nuclear physicist, and say, if I throw this on the wall, can you predict how it's going to splatter? What's he going to say?
No.
He said no. There's a big chiluk between this no and that no. The any idea of the any idea Elisha with the any idea of the big professor is a world of difference. So what I'm going to tell you now, it's not stama that we really understand. You'll have an understanding, and an understanding is it's a double chashuv. It's not a pashut. So what's the pshat of the gerolus? What is it? What's the pshat of the gerolus? You take it to two seir and you put them in front, and you put some ma'aser with a girdle, la Hashem, la Azazel. La Azazel, it says, is reim tachas of klipa, the lowest madrega. It's not shaykh to sustain any life, and then lifnei Hashem is the higher than the madrega of Yud Kevavke. Well, how does it work? So what's about some baba ma'aser? You come there and Yom Kippur, you play games over here. Plus daven with kavana. What do you come bring goats and make a mesa girdle? When it comes to Indian of karbonos, you have to bring the kol chelav lavaya. It's this week's parsha. You have to give the finest. You have to give the best. Choose the best. Fakert is of bechira. You have to choose the best. And here, there's dafka no choice. The Mishnah says it should be daimon b'mara. It should be daimon the b'kaima. The Mishnah dafka shouldn't be shaykh concept. What does that mean? Dafka should be shaykh concept of choice. What's the pshat? The pshat is that there's a madrega, there's a part of consciousness which makes sense, a level of our consciousness which is logical, makes sense, and there's a part of us that's deeper than logic. It's a part of us that's doesn't have to make sense. It touches. It's a part of us that simple mashal, like a lot of people don't like the people they love. Just because you love somebody doesn't mean you like it. Parents, kids can't get along. Who knows what? All of a sudden, then like everybody's together again. But in the regular everyday life, it doesn't. What happened? One sister of Shalom Lipsker from Miami told me that there was a couple he was counseling. They had a child that became a drug addict. The kid was pushed, stealing their money. And they were in his office, and the mother says to Rabbi Lipsker, I wish my child was dead. I wish death on him. The Agmas Nefesh day, bro, I wish he's dead. A few days later, the boy OD'd. He was in a coma. And he says he came to the hospital, standing by that bed with the parents. And the mama, she weint. Mama, she's weeping. And saying the son's name again. Whatever, Yankel, Meisha, whatever it is. Please come back. Please. And never, he didn't come back. Never. Didn't end well. But he's thinking to himself, like, a few days ago, the mother's wishing the child. And now, what happened? So it's a part of our conscious reality where people behave badly, and it's you don't like it. You don't like it. You opt out. And then there's a deeper part. In our relationship with the Eibishter, there's something which is deeper. It's deeper even than Torah mitzvahs. Right? This famous kasha. What comes first? Medrash says, if Torah comes first, Yisrael comes first. What comes first? Medrash says Yisrael comes first. Why? Because the Torah says, "Dabdo b'nei Yisrael, tzavas b'nei Yisrael." So there has to be a b'nei Yisrael. The Torah is speaking about a b'nei Yisrael. God that is, v'raisav kutchabricho, Yisrael v'raisav kutchabricho, and it's tras kishin and miskashron, and it's kulachad. But at the same time, it's saying of Yisrael that Yisrael is all of machshava. That's the first thing by the Eibishter. Even kadmol Torah, even higher than Torah, is the concept of Yisrael, the Eibishter relationship with us. So when Yidden behave badly, inappropriately, Taken is good. It's a problem. It's not good. And the holy see there could be negativity, and it's not no free lunches. You can't play your own game. A Yid's brachas come through. Limit that Torah and kibbutz. And Achdos Yisrael. That's why brachas come through. You don't have these things. It's not a joke. It's a serious thing. That's how a Yid's brachas come. But Yom Kippur, there's a reunion between the Eibishter and Yidden. The reunion between the Eibishter and Yidden, because it goes to a madrega, it goes to a level which is higher than Bechira, higher than rhyme and reason, higher than the scene of Gedolos. That's what the Geidel represents. The Geidel represents something which is higher than the conscious reality, the rationale. Now, of course, the strategy is not to do whatever you want the whole year and then come home Yom Kippur. That's not a strategy. It just doesn't work. Strategy is a Yid should be in Yom Kippur and should live with Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur should linger on a whole year. But this, the Alter Rebbe says, this is what Haman was trying to appropriate. Haman was trying to, by Gedolos, by this whole mice of Gedolos, Haman was trying to tap into a level where the fact that he's Agogi and Amalek doesn't matter. Like the Navi says, like Malachi says that Ki Och Esav Liyankiv. Och Esav Liyankiv. Afal Pikin is Yisrael L'Shanka Ha'evay, but that's the Afal Pikin, right? That's the as a madrega. There's a certain part of Kaviyocha by the Eibishter, like it says in Eiv and Perikei, that the Im Tzedakta Matitanle, the Glamadei, sorry. Im Tzedakta Matitanle, Mamiyot Chikach. The Eibishter needs your mitzvahs. Look in the Mitzudas over there at the Adar. Eibishter needs your mitzvahs. You're doing the Eibishter a favor. You need the mitzvahs. You need the Eibishter. You need it. The Eibishter doesn't need it. Doesn't need anything. It's a higher madrega. There's such a madrega in Holocaust. Yidden. That's what Haman was trying to take it to that level. That's Al Shem HaPur. That's the pshat. That's the pur. And the Yidden through Mesiras Nefesh. It wasn't a rhyme and reason. It was Mesiras Nefesh. No difference between today and time of Purim is. The difference between today and time of Purim is Charles Schumer and Bernie Sanders and Richard Glazer. A guy gets up with Rabin as his moment of fame and he says he refutes his Judaism. It's so painful. I'm sure he's not a bad person. I'm sure he's misguided, a lost Tinnik Shenishba. But in the time of Purim, it says not a single Yid opted out. Not a single Yid said he's not an Yehudi. The Yidden and Shushan were very, very assimilated. Don't fool yourself. They would be rubbing shoulders with some of the people you see today. No problem. They came came to Achashverosh, and Achashverosh showed up, and he was wearing a great costume, and they were busy taking selfies and posting it on Facebook. The Kohen Gadol's costume. It wasn't a joke, and there was kosher food over there. If you look in the Malbim, he writes it up so beautifully. Achashverosh put the beautiful food, and he put right next to them. He put all the taivas in the belt, right next to him. You want to eat your TV dinner? Go, no problem. In the winkle, the dark winkle over there, there's some bland. All the things, you put it right in front of you. It's like today when you come out all the new airports and you come out, they put you through custom. You have to walk through the stores to try to. You walk through on the way in. It's a new thing. It's a new Chicago. Like you walk through it, you have all the smells and all the things coming at you. Like it's supposed to like. Achashverosh, he set them up. He set them up perfectly. He set them up. Why? And Dr. the Mefarshim say that Haman told Achashverosh this is what he should do, because if you force the Yidden to do Aveda, so forced, they have to choose. That's the undoing. They have to just set them up, make it look great, and they did choose all the wrong things. And they brought themselves into the freilechen matzav. But the Perl, Yidden stood Mesiras Nefesh. I saw a vart, it's a really good vart. It was a Spanish, one of the Spanish Yishonim. His name is Shimon Akriti. He wrote Pirushim on Tanakh. So he asked Eisen Akasha. I didn't find anybody else to ask this question. I have the what is it? I found the original sefer. I found it. Like it's such a fascinating. It was printed from Ksav Yad. He said, "Okay, Mishagas, 3 days." The Gamvani of Nareise Atzum came. Whoever heard such a thing? But David made so dry tag. The Gemara says they came. The mamas came with the kinderlach estepes. No, we're with Mordechai. We stay with him till the end. We play the kinder. I mean, like that in the Shulchan Aruch, you don't let a kid fast Yom Kippur even. Like there's a sakana. This is hasten dry tag. Never mind the matzah, the mar, and the zolseder. Not even talking about that. But what kind of craziness is this? Shimon asked this question. He gives a made answer. He says, Esther understood that the pnimius of a yid is beseder, but it's very, very much, it's concealed. And she knew she had to break the shell. And the only way was to make the gashmias collapse entirely. As a person doesn't eat for 3 days or 3 nights, he's basically half dead. The guf is finished. When the guf was so finished, it didn't matter who you were. You were the biggest shegets. In such a situation, everybody's in Shabbat came out. That's what Esther knew. After 3 days, she said, I can go to the king now. They had to, if they'll be makabelis, if these guys will be makabelit, if they'll only follow. And once she got records, the reports, they're doing it, that's it. She's good. She's good. She can go. She has betachan and it's ready to go. So this is the Nakuda of Purim. And really this helps us understand why it's called Purim. Dafke in the Shem of Laz. What's the whole word of the Shem of Laz? It's to transform the physical, to transform the mundane, to transform the ordinary. A dover which is michutz l'kedusha, to take something outside the tchum kedusha and bring that into kedusha. That's taktiv pshat. Thus is Purim. Al Shem, Al Ken Nikru. This is why it's called Purim. And it's on Yom Kippur we come to kedusha by shunning gashmias, by pushing away gashmias. It's like the Rebbe once said, it doesn't eat, doesn't even have nalayin, doesn't have the privilege of sturdy shoes, right? It's from cup is the feast, so to speak. Is it you stuff from Gashmis? So you stuff from Gashmis. And on Purim is the union of Mishta v'Simcha. Not only start Mishta v'Simcha, but Mishta v'Simcha until Adar till Adar. It's like not start Mishta v'Simcha. It's like like a over the top Mishta v'Simcha. And that's Purim. So Purim is the kedusha of Purim. It's a major kedusha.
On the level of the Goyrel, there's no difference between Baruch, Mordechai, and
so on Yom Kippur, when you're all in shul, and the guy walks in from the street, and he chapt him on a tziter, and he hebt on Savenen, and he does tshuva in 5 seconds, and there's many stories like this. So Taka, like he's screaming Shema Yisrael together with you. And that moment is there. He's there. Like the day after October 7th, every year was inspired. Every year was to bracha. Right? But now you say Nochmer. You have a Purim Suda, and the guy walks in from the street, and everybody is jumping up and down saying l'chaim, and he also jumps up and down saying l'chaim. That too, that also works. Now, of course, the famous story, Yesh Ken Elon b'sha'achas Bacha Rebbe. Why? Because it doesn't last. The guy did tshuva and he had to die right away. He went Bacha Rebbe. He did tshuva, you have to die right away. The guy does tshuva, and then okay, so we have to work on holding on to that. But upon this is a bissel thing. Was meint Purim, and was meint Geiro, and was meint Al-Shema Purim, and as Rabbi Kaplan used to say, Purim is the Eretz the Tug. Purim is the Eretz the Tug. Eretz the Tug. It's a serious day. It's not a happiness. It's a serious business. I mean, like Adar is Eretz Azach. It's not a silly thing. People think Purim is a Narish Tug. Purim is a Narish Tug. Purim is a freilechen Tug. It's a Narish Tug. It's a heilige Tug. It's a holy day. It's not a silly day. It's not a day for silliness. It's a day when a Yid could connect to the Eibishter in the most remarkable of ways. The Eibishter is helpful that we should connect. We should connect to the Eibishter on the highest of levels, and we should bring down the brachas that we need. There are many of us share. The main thing is, why go halfway? It's also on the Eibishter already. Genug tzars by Yidden should be already be as a Mashiach, but mamash.
Maybe what you were talking about, the randomness, was part of the what makes Purim so special. That it's something you cannot.
That's the random element.
That's the random element.
Yeah.
But why was it plural?
Why is it plural? So this kasha is asked. This kasha is asked. So one pushed answer. I think the Maharal says in our Chodesh because there's 2 days of Purim. Purim is Yimei Purim. That's what became Yimei Purim. But there's another.
I heard something that
answer Purim. I'm trying to remember. There's other Rishonim speak about it also. Saying the early Achrein and the Hashem speak about it.
I heard somebody say that why did Haman do all the gyros? He didn't want there to be any help for the Jews on the day that's going to happen because they'll figure it out.
The Maharal says he made kama.
He made kama gyros because every time it came out.
Yeah.
Every time what?
Every time it came out, somebody told him, "Hey, no, this day has a good part." So he kept on doing it over and over again until he finally found the day, which supposedly.
Mattersdorf's in Hungary?
Mattersdorf is like in there's a hint. There's Oberland and Interland. I think it's Oberland.
In 1939, they already had sorrows from the Nazis there.
I think that Mattersdorf is not from Vienna. I think that an elder lived in Vienna at the time. I think the Nazis annexed Vienna right away.
Right, in 38.
In 38. So I think Vienna or near Vienna. I think that's where. I never figured out the exact geography.
My parents were in Russia also.
Where?
For a half hour though, I don't care.
I don't care what he
All
does.
I know is in Novosibirsk at one point, but they all moved. There was a point where they all moved to the warmer climate because there was a treaty made with the Polish general. There was a Polish general, the government in exile, made a treaty with Russia after the war broke out to allow, first they were restricted
You paid for it.
They were restricted. They couldn't work. They got freedom to move. There was a general in the Polish government in exile that negotiated that now that the Germans, the Russians were